Have you ever felt like you were surrounded by people, yet no one truly saw you? Like you were giving so much, pouring your energy into everything, but deep down, you were draining yourself. There comes a time in life when the world gets too loud, opinions, expectations, noise, and in that noise, you start to forget your own voice. Sometimes, my friends, the most powerful thing you can do is disappear. Not to run away, not to quit, but to rebuild. To disconnect from the world so you can reconnect with yourself. Because every version of your comeback starts in silence. Every strong person you admire once disappeared, not to hide, but to heal, not to escape, but to evolve. So today, I want to share with you why disappearing to rebuild yourself isn't weakness, it's wisdom. In today's world, silence almost feels strange. Everywhere we go, there's noise. Notifications, conversations, opinions, judgments, expectations. It's like we're constantly plugged into something, but still feeling empty inside. Have you noticed that we keep listening to others, but forget to listen to ourselves? We keep reacting, but rarely reflecting. And that's why silence is not emptiness. Silence is energy gathering. When you step away from the crowd, when you stop explaining yourself to people who will never understand you, when you stop performing for the approval of others, you create space. And in that space, something powerful happens. You begin to hear your own voice again. You begin to feel your heart again. It's like this: imagine your mind is a lake. When you're surrounded by chaos, the surface of that lake is disturbed, full of ripples, storms, waves. You can't see your reflection clearly in it. But when everything quiets down, when the winds stop, when the world becomes still, suddenly you can see the bottom. You can see yourself. That's what silence does. It clears the noise so you can see the truth beneath it. Most people run away from silence because they think it means loneliness. But silence isn't loneliness, it's power. The tree doesn't grow in the noise of the city, it grows quietly in the forest. The seed doesn't scream when it's buried, it grows silently underground. And you, my friend, are no different. Your growth doesn't need to be loud, it needs to be real. When you disappear for a while, you're not losing touch with the world, you're recharging your soul. The same way your phone needs to disconnect from the charger to work again, your spirit sometimes needs to disconnect from everything to feel alive again. You can't keep pouring from an empty cup. You can't heal when you're still surrounded by the noise that hurt you. People might say, "You've changed," but the truth is, you're not changing, you're returning. You're coming back to the person you were before the world told you who to be. You're remembering your peace, your purpose, your energy. Silence isn't an absence of sound, it's the presence of strength. So don't fear silence. Don't rush to fill every quiet moment with something or someone. Sit with it. Let it hold you. Because in that stillness, you'll realize something beautiful. You never lost your spark. You just stopped hearing it in the noise. And the moment you embrace that silence, your energy begins to rise again. It's in that sacred pause, that invisible moment of stillness, where real transformation begins. Where your mind stops racing and your heart starts speaking. And if you can learn to find peace there, you will never again need to chase it anywhere else. You see, solitude is often misunderstood. When people hear the word alone, they imagine sadness, isolation, or emptiness. But being alone doesn't mean being lonely. There's a big difference. Loneliness is when you don't like who you are when you're with yourself. Solitude is when you finally begin to love who you are when no one else is around. Solitude is not a punishment, it's a teacher. It teaches in whispers, not in words. The world outside teaches you how to live, how to work, how to speak, how to behave. But solitude teaches you why to live. It gives you a mirror to your inner world. It holds up a light to the corners of your mind you've never dared to look at. When you sit alone, truly alone, without the distraction of your phone, without music, without anyone's presence to comfort you, it's just you and your thoughts. At first, that can feel uncomfortable because suddenly all the emotions you've been avoiding start to rise. The pain you ignored, the fears you buried, the dreams you postponed, they all start knocking on the door of your mind. And most people run away at that point. They distract themselves, scroll endlessly, talk to people, keep busy, because they're afraid of that inner voice. But here's the truth. The voice you're avoiding is the very one that can heal you. The moment you stop running from yourself and start listening to that silence, you begin to understand what your soul's been trying to tell you all along. You start to see what's real, what's missing, what needs to change. It's like meeting yourself again after years of pretending to be someone else. You realize you've spent so much time trying to fit into people's expectations that you have lost touch with your own heart. And in solitude, you rediscover it. You remember the dreams you buried because they didn't fit into someone else's plan. You remember the peace you lost because you were chasing noise. When I say solitude is a teacher, I mean it doesn't shout, it doesn't command, it gently reveals. It shows you how to enjoy your own company, how to find beauty in simple moments, a walk, a sunrise, a breath. It reminds you that you don't always need someone else to validate your existence. Sometimes your quiet presence is enough. You know, a flower doesn't bloom because it's surrounded by people cheering for it. It blooms because it's rooted, nourished, and aligned with the sun. That's solitude. When you take time alone, you're nourishing your roots, your values, your beliefs, your emotions. You're aligning yourself again with your inner light. And what's magical is, once you've been through true solitude, you start showing up differently in the world. You no longer depend on attention to feel seen. You no longer need validation to feel worthy. You no longer fear being alone, because now being with yourself feels like home. Solitude doesn't break you, it builds you. It teaches you to stand tall without leaning on anyone else's strength. It teaches you to be your own companion, your own cheerleader, your own guide. And when you come out of that space, you bring a different kind of peace, a calm that isn't shaken by chaos, a smile that isn't borrowed from others, a confidence that doesn't need applause. So, my friends, don't see solitude as a prison. See it as a pilgrimage, a sacred journey inward. Because somewhere in that silence, beyond all the noise of the world, you'll meet someone extraordinary, your true self. And once you do, you'll realize that solitude was never meant to isolate you from the world. It was meant to prepare you for it. When you choose to step away for a while, to focus on your growth, your peace, your healing, one thing becomes certain: people won't understand, and that's okay. You see, not everyone has the maturity to comprehend silence. Not everyone can respect your distance, your transformation, or your need to rebuild quietly. Some will think you've changed. Some will think you're ignoring them. And a few will even take your disappearance personally. But what they don't realize is you're not disappearing from them. You're returning to you. You're not cutting people off because you hate them, you're creating space because you've learned to love yourself. You've realized that growth requires distance, and sometimes peace demands isolation. The world around us is full of noise, full of constant demands and expectations. People want you to be available, responsive, entertaining, understanding, all the time. But tell me, how can you keep giving when your cup is empty? How can you keep showing up for others when you're disconnected from yourself? There comes a point in life where you realize you've been overextending yourself. You've been trying to explain your emotions to people who only listen to reply. You've been trying to make everyone comfortable while you were silently drowning. You've been saying yes when your soul was screaming no. And when you finally decide to pause, to pull back, to take a step into your own space, that's when the misunderstanding begins. People might say, "You've changed," but the truth is, you've just grown. Growth looks like distance to those who are comfortable with your old version. Growth feels like rejection to those who only loved you when you were available to their needs. But real growth isn't meant to be understood by everyone. It's meant to be felt by you. You see, the moment you start respecting your peace, the world starts testing it. The moment you stop answering every call, every message, every opinion, people will start to question your loyalty. But don't let that guilt pull you back, because here's the truth. You cannot heal in the same environment that broke you. You cannot build a new version of yourself in the same noise that caused your burnout. The ones who truly care for you won't demand explanations. They'll understand your silence. They'll respect your need for solitude. They'll wait for your energy to return instead of forcing your presence. Because real connection doesn't fade in silence, it deepens. But those who only valued your energy for their convenience will drift away. And that's okay too. Your journey of rebuilding isn't a public performance. You don't need to post it. You don't need to justify it. You don't need to prove it. Healing doesn't ask for attention. It asks for patience. So, when people misunderstand your disappearance, smile gently and say nothing. Let them think what they want to think. Because you're not living for their understanding. You're living for your peace. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to step back from everyone who drains you and return to everyone who fills you, including you. And remember this, silence is not weakness. Solitude is not selfishness. When you protect your energy, you're protecting your purpose. You're preserving the clarity that will guide you forward. The right people will understand your absence. The wrong ones will question it. But in both cases, you learn who truly belongs in your life. And when you come back, grounded, centered, and full of peace, even the ones who once misunderstood, you will feel your strength without you uttering a single word. So don't fear being misunderstood. Don't fear being judged. The world doesn't need to understand your silence. It needs to feel your transformation when you return. Healing isn't something that happens while you're still surrounded by the same noise that hurt you. Healing needs isolation before expression. Because how can you hear the whispers of your own heart when the world keeps shouting in your ears? How can you mend your soul when you're still in the same place that broke it? There's a reason why broken bones are casted, not exposed. There's a reason why a seed grows beneath the soil, not on the surface. There's a reason why the most profound transformations happen in silence, not in spectacle. You see, before you can share your light with others, You must first protect the flame while it's still fragile. That's what healing is. It's protecting your inner flame until it burns bright enough to face the wind again. We often think healing means being strong in public, smiling while you're bleeding inside, showing the world you're okay when you're not. But true healing doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens when you finally stop pretending, when you close the door, put your phone aside, and sit with the pain you've been running from. Healing begins when you face yourself, honestly, fully, compassionately. When you admit, I'm not okay right now, but I will be. That honesty is the foundation. And that foundation is built in silence. You can't rush healing. You can't fake it. You can't decorate it with distractions. Healing requires the courage to disconnect from people, from situations, even from parts of your past that still echo in your mind. It requires space. Because space allows you to breathe, and in that breath you find clarity. Sometimes you have to step away, not because you don't care, but because you finally do. You care about your peace. You care about your mental stillness. You care about your emotional stability. You care enough to stop forcing yourself into environments that make you forget who you are. And yes, people will question your silence. They'll ask why you disappeared, why you're quieter, why you're distant. But what they don't see is the storm you're calming within. They don't see the rebuilding, the rewiring, the inner work you're doing. Because healing is invisible until one day your peace becomes unshakable. Your eyes glow differently and your energy feels lighter. That's when people notice. They'll say, you've changed, and you'll smile because that's exactly what you came here to do. You changed, you grew, you healed. You see, expression without healing leads to noise. But healing before expression creates wisdom. You can only teach peace when you've known chaos. You can only inspire strength when you've faced weakness. You can only guide others when you've guided yourself through the darkness first. So don't be afraid to disappear for a while. Don't be afraid to say, I need time. Healing doesn't need an audience. It needs honesty. It needs patience. It needs love, your own love. Sit with your pain long enough to understand what it's trying to teach you. Because every wound has wisdom hidden inside it. Every scar is a reminder that pain ends, but growth doesn't. When you isolate to heal, you're not avoiding life. You're preparing for it. You're cleansing the emotional clutter that clouds your vision. You're strengthening your mind for the storms that will come again. You're rediscovering the quiet power of peace. And when you finally return, when you re-enter the world, something beautiful happens. You no longer react from your wounds, you respond from your wisdom. You no longer chase validation, you carry inner security. You no longer fear being alone, you honor your solitude. Healing needs isolation before expression, because before you can give the world your best self, you must first sit quietly with your broken one. You must rebuild your roots before you bloom again. And once you do, your silence will no longer be an escape. It will be your greatest strength. So often, when people talk about rebuilding themselves, they think it means becoming someone completely new, as if who they were before wasn't good enough, as if they need to erase their past, their memories, their mistakes. But the truth is, rebuilding yourself is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. You were born pure, curious, brave, full of dreams. You laughed easily, you trusted naturally, you believed in love, in people, in possibilities. But slowly, As life happened, as pain entered, as rejection bruised your confidence, you started to forget that person. Bit by bit, you began to trade your truth for acceptance. You started acting how others expected you to act, speaking how others wanted you to speak, living how others thought you should live. And in the process, you lost sight of you. When you decide to disappear and rebuild, you're not trying to create a brand new version of yourself. You're trying to return home. You're peeling away the layers of conditioning, opinions, fear, and comparison that buried your real identity. You're removing everything that isn't authentically yours. Imagine this: your true self is like the sky, always there, vast, calm, infinite. But over time, clouds of expectations, pain, and noise covered it. You can't see the sky, but it's still there. It hasn't gone anywhere. Your healing, your rebuilding, is not about creating a new sky. It's about clearing the clouds, so the light you always had within can finally shine again. That's what true growth feels like. It's not adding more, it's letting go. Letting go of the anger that's been eating you. Letting go of the guilt that's been chasing you. Letting go of the belief that you have to prove your worth. You don't have to become anyone. You just have to remember yourself. We spend so much time trying to upgrade our outer lives. New jobs, new clothes, new cities, new relationships. But rarely do we pause and upgrade our inner connection. We forget that the peace we're chasing isn't somewhere out there. It's within us, waiting for us to return. Sometimes you have to unlearn before you can truly grow. Unlearn the habit of pleasing everyone. Unlearn the need to explain yourself. Unlearn the false idea that rest is laziness, that vulnerability is weakness, that being alone is failure. These beliefs don't belong to you. They were planted by a world that profits from your confusion. And as you start shedding these layers, something beautiful begins to happen. You start recognizing yourself again in small, quiet ways. The things that used to drain you no longer bother you. The voices that once made you doubt yourself start to fade. You smile more sincerely, breathe more deeply, and live more slowly. You begin to feel peace in your own company. You no longer crave noise to feel alive. You start to enjoy the simplicity of being. That's when you realize the person you were looking for all along was you. Not the one the world applauded, but the one who existed before the applause even mattered. Rebuilding isn't about constructing a new identity, it's about rediscovering your original soul. That part of you that was fearless, joyful, compassionate, and deeply connected. It's remembering the little child who looked at the world with wonder, who believed anything was possible, who loved without fear. That version of you still exists. Beneath the disappointments, beneath the pain, beneath the expectations. When you rebuild from remembrance, you stop chasing perfection. You start embracing authenticity. You no longer say, I want to become better. You begin to say, I want to become real. And the truth is, when you remember who you are, life feels lighter. Because you stop carrying the weight of pretending. You no longer need to perform. You no longer need to prove. You simply are. So, if you're in that phase of rebuilding right now, don't pressure yourself to be someone different. Just sit quietly, breathe, reflect, peel back the layers. Underneath all the chaos and confusion, the real you is still there, waiting patiently, whispering softly. You don't need to change to find yourself. You just need to come back home to the version of you that was always enough. So many of us, when we take a step back from the world, start to doubt ourselves. We think, maybe I'm not relevant anymore. Maybe people will forget me. Maybe my value comes from being seen. But that's the illusion, because your value does not decrease when you step away. You don't become less worthy just because you become quiet. You don't become invisible just because you are unseen. A flower doesn't lose its beauty when no one is there to admire it. The stars don't stop shining just because it's cloudy on earth. The moon doesn't stop glowing when no one looks up. Their existence, their brilliance, their value, it's not dependent on attention. And neither is yours. We live in a time where visibility is mistaken for value. If you're not posting, not sharing, not talking, not showing, people assume you're not doing anything. But what they don't see is the deep transformation happening behind the curtain, the silent progress, the inner healing, the rebuilding of your peace. That's the work no one applauds, but it's the work that truly matters. When you step back, when you choose quiet over chaos, you begin to realize something. Your worth was never meant to be measured by how many people notice you. It's measured by how deeply you know yourself. It's measured by your ability to be content without performance, confident without applause, and at peace without validation. Sometimes, the most powerful person in the room isn't the loudest, it's the calmest. The one who has nothing to prove, nothing to defend, nothing to chase. That's strength. That's value. When you disappear for a while, people may stop talking about you. But what's even more powerful is that you stop talking about everyone else. You stop comparing, competing, and explaining. You simply exist with grace, with focus, with inner alignment. That's when your energy begins to purify. That's when your presence, even in silence, starts to feel magnetic. Because you see, your value doesn't live in the world's reaction to you. It lives in your relationship with yourself. The more you honor that relationship, the stronger you become. The more you respect your boundaries, the lighter your heart feels. The more you stop begging for understanding, the freer your soul becomes. It's like a seed underground. When a seed disappears beneath the soil, it looks dead to the outside world. Nobody sees the roots forming, the life preparing, the strength building. But deep inside the darkness, something extraordinary is happening. Growth. The roots are anchoring. The foundation is solidifying. And one day, that same seed pushes through the surface, not as what it was, but as something greater, stronger, more alive. That's exactly what's happening to you when you step away. You may feel unseen, unheard, unnoticed, but that's where the real transformation is taking place. You're anchoring yourself. You're grounding your peace. You're preparing for the next version of your bloom. Never mistake silence for insignificance. The quiet phases of your life are sacred. That's where your spirit grows muscles. That's where your mind regains focus. That's where your heart learns patience. Even when no one is clapping, keep going. Even when no one acknowledges your growth, keep evolving. You don't owe anyone updates on your healing. You don't need to explain your absence. Your peace is not a performance. It's your protection. One day, when you return, people will see the glow they can't explain. They'll feel the calm in your presence. They'll notice that you no longer react the way you used to. You'll smile more, speak less, and your silence will carry more wisdom than your words ever did. That's the beauty of disappearing to rebuild. You leave as one version and come back as another, quieter yet stronger, softer yet wiser. And in that transformation, you finally understand your value was never lost. It was simply waiting patiently for you to see it again. So don't doubt your worth, just because the world has gone quiet around you. Sometimes the world falls silent, not because you've become less, but because you've outgrown the noise. Your value was never in their attention, it was always in your awareness. And the moment you realize that, you stop chasing the spotlight and start becoming the light itself. When you decide to step away from the world for a while, to disappear, to heal, to rebuild, something remarkable happens. The noise around you starts to fade, but so do some of the people. And that's when you begin to see the truth with painful clarity. The right people will wait, and the wrong ones will wander. It's in your silence that the real intentions of others reveal themselves. Because when you are no longer giving, entertaining, helping, or available every time they call, you'll notice something. Some people will stop showing up. They were never there for you. They were there for the energy you provided, the comfort you gave, the attention you offered. And when that energy disappears, so do they. It hurts at first. You look around and realize that the ones who promised they'd stay suddenly have no time. The ones who said they cared go quiet. You begin to question yourself. Did I do something wrong? Am I pushing people away? But the truth is, you're not pushing anyone away. You're simply standing still long enough to see who's genuinely walking beside you. You see, real relationships, whether friendships, family, or love, don't depend on constant communication. They depend on connection. Genuine people don't need to hear from you every day to know you care. They can feel it in the silence. They understand that your withdrawal isn't rejection, it's reflection. That your distance isn't coldness, it's clarity. When you disappear to rebuild, the right people will understand your absence. They'll respect your boundaries. They won't guilt you for taking time for yourself. They won't say, "You've changed," with resentment. They'll say it with admiration. Because they'll see that you're not vanishing out of pride, but out of peace. And that's the difference between those who are meant for your life and those who are not. The wrong ones crave your presence because it feeds their needs. The right ones honor your space because it honors your growth. There's a beautiful saying, distance doesn't ruin real relationships, it only filters out the fake ones. How true that is. When you step back, you'll notice who notices your silence. You'll notice who checks in, even when you have nothing to offer. You'll notice who understands your quietness without taking it personally. Those people, keep them close. They are rare. Sometimes you have to disappear just to see who comes looking for you. Because presence can be deceiving. Anyone can show up when things are easy, but it takes genuine care to stay when things are uncertain. When you're not your most cheerful, when you're not giving your best, when you have nothing left to offer but your honesty, that's when the truth of others is revealed. And while it hurts to lose people during your rebuilding season, it's actually a blessing in disguise. Because solitude has a way of shaking off the wrong attachments. It makes sure that when you return, you're surrounded not by the loudest, but by the truest. Not by the ones who flatter you, but by the ones who feel you. You begin to see that love isn't proven in words, it's proven in patience. The right people won't demand explanations. They won't rush your healing. They'll wait quietly, lovingly, faithfully, trusting that when you're ready, you'll come back stronger. The wrong ones, they'll wander, complain, criticize, and leave. But that's okay. Their exit is a form of protection. Because the universe often removes people who can't walk with you into your next chapter. When you finally reappear, not as a wounded soul, but as a whole being, you'll notice something beautiful. You won't carry bitterness, you'll carry peace. You won't crave revenge, you'll carry gratitude. Because every person who left during your silence helped you see your worth more clearly. Every absence made room for something real to enter. So don't chase after those who walked away when you needed time. Don't beg for understanding from those who never tried to see your heart. Let them go with love, not anger. Because what's meant for you will never be lost. It will wait. And when you come back glowing from your rebuilding, you'll realize that the ones who truly belong in your life never needed constant presence. They simply needed your truth. The right people will stay connected to your soul even when they can't reach your hands. They'll pray for you, not pressure you. They'll believe in you, not blame you. And when you return, they'll welcome you, not because they miss the old you, but because they're ready to walk beside the new you. So if you're alone right now, wondering why some people disappeared when you did, don't mourn their absence. Celebrate it. Because silence has filtered your circle and only the real ones remain. When you come back from a season of silence, something changes. The way you walk, the way you think, the way you carry yourself, it's different. Because the world rewards the rebuilt, not the broken. But here's the deeper truth. You didn't rebuild to earn applause. You rebuilt to earn back your peace. You didn't step away to impress anyone. You stepped away to understand yourself. You see, when you've gone through pain, confusion, heartbreak, disappointment, and you faced all of that alone, you come back with a kind of strength that no one can quite explain. People may see your glow, your calmness, your confidence, but they won't understand the battles you fought in silence to get there. They'll see the peace, but not the chaos you overcame. They'll see the wisdom, but not the nights you spent questioning everything. That's what rebuilding does. It doesn't just fix what's broken, it refines you. It burns away everything that's temporary. It makes you value what truly matters. You start to realize that the people, the possessions, the plans you once chased, none of them define your worth. Because you've learned that peace is the greatest luxury and calmness is the greatest achievement. The world often praises the loud, those who speak the most, achieve the most, post the most, show the most. But the truly powerful are often the quiet ones, those who have been through the fire and came out softer, not harder. Kinder, not colder. Wiser, not bitter. That's the silent reward of rebuilding yourself. When you disappear to heal, to grow, to reset, you create a new vibration within you. And when you return, that energy speaks before you do. People will feel it in your presence. They'll notice it in your eyes. Calmer, deeper, gentler. Your silence will carry more impact than your words ever could. Because it's not about what you say anymore. It's about who you've become. And here's what's beautiful. When you come back, you no longer seek the same things. You don't crave attention. You don't chase approval. You don't run after validation. You've seen what peace feels like, and nothing else compares. You understand that healing changes your appetite. What once excited you now feels empty. What once hurt you no longer controls you. What once distracted you no longer deserves your energy. Rebuilding teaches you to be selective with your time, your thoughts, your company, your conversations. You stop participating in chaos because you've learned the price of peace. You stop over-explaining yourself because you've realized that real understanding doesn't need words. You stop seeking closure because you've learned that peace is closure. And as you live this new chapter, people will start to notice. They'll say, you've changed. And yes, you have. You've changed your habits, your mindset, your boundaries, your energy. You've changed not because you wanted to impress anyone, but because you wanted to free yourself. When the world rewards you, when you succeed, when your peace becomes visible, when people start admiring your calmness, remember something important: the reward isn't the praise. The reward is the journey. The reward is the quiet moment when you realize you no longer need what once broke you. The reward is waking up without the weight of yesterday. The reward is being able to smile sincerely again. Rebuilding yourself means you've mastered the art of starting over, not from pain, but from purpose. And the world can sense that. Your energy becomes magnetic because it's real. People are drawn to your stillness, your balance, your grace. They may not know why, but something about you feels safe. You radiate peace. Because true strength isn't found in how loud you shout, it's found in how calmly you stand. True power isn't how much control you have over others, it's how much peace you have within yourself. True success isn't about being noticed, it's about being aligned with your values, your truth, your purpose. When you rebuild yourself, you start living with quiet confidence. You no longer need to prove your worth to anyone. You stop chasing success because you realize success starts inside. And when your inner world is in order, the outer world naturally follows. So yes, the world will reward the rebuilt version of you. But don't rebuild for the world. Rebuild for yourself. Rebuild for that tired version of you who was once holding on by a thread. Rebuild for that broken version of you who thought they'd never smile again. Rebuild for the future you, the one who will look back and say, I made it through. Because one day, the same people who questioned your silence will be inspired by your peace. The same ones who doubted your disappearance will admire your transformation. You won't need to explain how you did it. Your life will say it all. And that's the real reward. Not the recognition, not the applause, but the calm knowing that you disappeared, you rebuilt, and you returned, not as a victim of your story, but as the author of it,